This has got to be the most unbelievable archaeological find ever made, and to this day there are still no records of who built this or how. Warning, Philip is a professional mind blower. The topics discussed are not for the closed-minded. It was found near a village along the Q River of eastern China, a quaint little farming town with beautiful rolling hills. One of the mountains in the region was home to a series of very interesting rectangular-shaped ponds that were unlike any other in the country. For as long as anyone in the village could remember, these ponds supplied them with water for ages. Generations upon generations would use the ponds as a fresh water supply, and they would never run dry or even recede over time. They almost seemed to be a source of infinite water. They became known as the bottomless ponds, and villagers even attempted on many occasions to measure how deep they are, using the longest bamboo poles they could find, yet they could never ever touch the bottom. Then in the summer of 1992, a local villager was fishing in one of the ponds when he caught a massive 30-pounder, which was way bigger than what anyone else had ever caught in these ponds. Intrigued by this discovery, the villager made it his mission to get to the bottom of this mystery. So he convinced 3 other villagers to help him drain one of the ponds entirely, which was an ambitious project by any means. They get a hold of a basic manual water pump and get to work continuously pumping the water out of one of the ponds day and night in shifts. After 5 days of non-stop pumping, the water level had only dropped a couple feet, but they made their first earth-shattering discovery. Just below the surface of the water, on the far side of the pond, they see a set of stairs going down into the bottom of the pond. This was clearly huge. Excited, they got 4 more water pumps and rallied a few more villagers to help their cause and continued pumping non-stop for 17 more days. And they did it. They drained the entire pond, and what they found shocked not only the village, but the entire world as well. They were looking directly into an ancient man-made subterranean complex that completely defied their entire understanding of history. These are the Long U Caves, crafted with perfectly flat floors, enormous rooms, grand pillars, and even intricate art carved into its walls. The entire excavation revealed 24 caves in a massive underground network, 14 of which were collapsed, but the 10 that stood were just unexplainable, indicating a level of sophisticated precision in making these caves that totally rewrote conventional ancient Chinese history as they knew it. The walls had finely carved patterns, a level of detail typically achieved by only the most advanced artisans, and were even found on the ceilings, which would have been even harder to pull off, which in some areas would stand up to 10 stories tall, with a total area spanning 11,000 square feet across all of the caves, with no evidence of soot or burn marks anywhere on the walls or ceilings, implying they either did all of this in complete darkness or using some lighting method we're not aware of. Not to mention, some of these caves didn't even connect with each other, yet were perfectly chiseled with walls less than 50 centimeters thick separating them. This level of precision is borderline impossible for its time. Once again, an ancient structure so impressive that it almost seems like they had some form of advanced technology that was either lost or suppressed over time. If it even was possible with the technology available at the time, it's estimated a project like this would have taken centuries to finish. Current estimates put it at around 2,000 years old, yet there are no records of these caves anywhere in ancient Chinese history. Just like the Egyptians, the ancient Chinese were meticulous record keepers of everything they did, yet not a single account of this engineering marvel of a complex found anywhere among them. Seems to be a trend among ancient cultures to make epic shit and just never write about them for some reason. There isn't even any evidence of the people who could have built these caves. On top of that, this complex would have required the removal of millions of tons of stone, which is nowhere to be found. Such a monumental quantity of rock would have left a huge impact on the surrounding landscape, yet the region around the cave has nothing. But overall, China is no stranger to caves like these. 100 miles north, we see the Huashan Grottos, another network of 36 caves with a similar sophistication as Long U. Despite being a project that would have also taken centuries to complete, there are also no records of who built them, how they were built, or for what purpose. They're just there. And just as mysteriously, the millions of tons of rock removed from the subterranean network are nowhere to be found. Maybe they were transported and used in other projects, like the mythical Great White Pyramid they so closely guard. Same with the Guyaju Caves, China's largest cliff-dwelling complex composed of 117 caves. Discovered in 1984, sprawling over 25 acres, more than 1 million square feet. These are made out of granite, which we know is very hard and very difficult to carve, so we can't even begin begin to imagine how they did any of this. All of these caves lack significant datable archaeological evidence and have very few, if any, historical records of their construction. Isn't it kind of weird that a civilization known for its meticulous record keeping has no surviving records of arguably its most impressive feats? We really have no idea how old any of these are. Common estimates putting them around 2,000 years old, but we really have no way of accurately dating rocks. And it doesn't end with caves. Ancient China is home to some of the most amazing understudied monuments in the world, like the impressive Heijin city fortress carved directly into the side of a mountain gorge, an absolute marvel of ancient engineering with an intricate network of tunnels and dwellings inside, all heavily eroded from time. And of course, the centerpiece massive 30-foot entrance carved into the canyon wall, which would have clearly been difficult to make. This fortress once again has very little historic records to show where it came from. The theory proposed by historians was that local farmers of the region with no knowledge of stonework constructed this fortress to protect themselves against bandits. Yeah, and others will probably try to convince you it was naturally formed. I mean, if this isn't clear evidence of some lost civilization, I don't know what is. Well, what if it isn't a lost civilization because they actually found it? In 1986, construction workers near the city of Guanghan accidentally discovered 2 pits filled with thousands of artifacts that belong to a civilization that we have absolutely no record of other than these relics, totaling around 13,000 artifacts of gold and bronze statues, figurines, masks, some even made out of jade, others up to 5 feet wide and 9 feet tall, which became known as the Sanxingdui people, who featured distinct large eyes and big ears that kinda... Okay, no, I'm not going there. Strangely though, these aren't similar to any other ancient Chinese culture that came after or before them, and many of these artifacts were burned and heavily damaged when they found them, almost like they've been intentionally hidden and buried, or perhaps scorched by a global cataclysm. The Sanxingdui artifacts have been officially dated to as far back as 5,000 years old. That's as old as the Sumerians and the earliest Old Kingdom Egyptian empires that ever existed. Did this society exist far before our known timeline, build all of these incredible complexes, and for whatever reason get erased from history? The dawn of civilization from an unknown society found in China? Man, this shit really just keeps on getting older.